Okay, guys, welcome back to a new video here. So Piers Morgan has returned. He took a 2-week break and he's back. And right away, he's humiliating himself. Yeah, so Dave Smith absolutely destroys him on the point. And Piers Morgan goes into a long monologue here about basically how Trump is the peace president. Trump loves peace. He hates war. Very simplistic sort of reasoning here. And even arguing that Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, I'm not joking. He literally argues that. And again, it's beyond parody. If you look at what's going on in the world right now, with the Russia-Ukraine war escalating, with the Israeli devastation of the Gaza Strip going on, totally supported by the U.S. president, Piers Morgan is arguing in favor of Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize. And that's just so insane for a number of reasons. And we're going to show you the full clip here of Piers' monologue and Dave Smith basically being like, Piers, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, this is ridiculous. Trump is supporting what Israel's doing, and you want to give him a peace prize? What are you talking about here? And again, it's so ridiculous, the arguments Piers starts to use, basically saying, oh, Trump gave a speech where he's talking against the neocons. Brother, he is a neocon. He literally bombed Iran less than a couple months ago, and that war looks like it's going to start up again soon. What are you talking about? It's just so ridiculous. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it in just a second, guys. And by the way, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to like and hit that subscribe button. It's super good for the algorithm, and it helps the channel immensely. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're almost get there. Around 180 away right now or so. So hit that subscribe button. And if you want to become a member, hit the join button below. My Patreon's also below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Here's a clip, and we'll talk about it in just a
Dynamism
minute.
in the Middle East there, in those countries in particular, which Trump has tapped into. And Trump's speech, I felt, in Riyadh, just before he went to Qatar on that week-long trip, was really significant. I don't think he got nearly enough credit for that. He was like, we spent years, the sort of neocons bombing the hell out of the Middle East. And actually, what these countries want to do now, they want to drive out to us. They want to give us their stuff. They want to be creators and be dynamic, and that's what they're doing. And we should let them do that, and we should encourage them and work with them. And I thought that was a very significant speech by an American president. I also think you touched on there about his aversion to war. I don't think Trump gets nearly enough credit for that. And it's not to say Trump is a perfect human being. He's not. He's very flawed in many ways. But for a Republican American president in modern times to be so clearly against warfare, because he believes, A, it's a terrible loss of life, that B, it's a terrible waste of money, and that C, America has its own problems that needs to sort out without having wars all over the place. Personally, I find that very refreshing. I compare that with the rhetoric of someone like George W. Bush, for example, and it's chalk and cheese. I opposed the Iraq War, and I said it to the Daily Mirror. And I think I was vindicated with that. So I just think that Trump, because of his personality, you talk about him being transactional, wanting these relationships as being an issue. I kind of like it. And maybe I'm being naive, and maybe it will all blow up in his face. But if ultimately at the end of this, Trump somehow barrels his way to peace between Ukraine and Russia, peace, ending the terrible Israel-Hamas war, which has reached this awful quagmire too, if he could manage to do that, then I'd give him a Nobel Peace Prize. And if on the trade front, America ends up with better trade relations with most of its trading partners, and they haven't all fallen out, and they're all meeting for nice little, whatever he has, Big Mac and a nice Coca-Cola to celebrate, well, yeah, okay. I'll put up with a bit of rough and tumble along the way. Now, Gordon, am I being naive?
No, not at all, because we do see in Trump these themes, and these themes are important ones. So, when you talked about the Middle East, Syria, he has turned Syria around. This is unbelievable, and this is Trump at his best. Trump understood that American sanctions on Syria were based on Assad. Assad was gone, and so he says, I'm giving Syria a chance to join the international community. This is really important. And this is a theme that we are going to see. The other thing, Piers, is that Trump is willing to use American power, and he does it in small doses. So, for instance, he killed Soleimani, he put Iran back in the box, and we see with the targeting of this Venezuelan drug boat, I think we're going to see a better Maduro in the future. Now, I could be wrong, but the point is, with these pinpricks of force, he has been able to move the world in better directions. And that's another theme that we don't give him credit for.
Yeah.
Can I respond to that a little bit, Piers?
Yeah, sure. Then I want to bring in Cyrus, but Dave, yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, look, I liked some of the stuff you were saying there at the beginning, and I do think that speech it was one of the best speeches of Trump's life, and I do love that Donald Trump does at least seem to think about the human cost of war. Yeah. It kind of exposes what monsters some of these other leaders are.
And by the way, Dave, on that point,
to come up.
And Dave, on that point, I have literally had a phone conversation with Donald Trump several times now this year, where he has talked really powerfully about Ukraine and the loss of life on both sides, comparing it to kind of the First World War, Flanders, these terrible scenes of open fields, thousands being gunned down on a weekly basis. He feels this is, I've never heard him talk like that about human life.
But at the same time,
so it's a real thing. It isn't to say
I agree. I agree, and that's an interesting element to it. But look, as I've said on your show before, ever since Barack Obama won a Nobel Peace Prize, they just mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, if the guy who escalated the war in Afghanistan, launched a war in Libya, launched a covert war in Syria, backed the Saudis invading Yemen, and continued the war in Somalia, his whole presidency, if that guy can get a peace prize, it's just ridiculous. But I'm sorry, nobody should get a Nobel Peace Prize if they're backing the genocide, completely facilitating the genocide of the Palestinian people. It's an outrage that we'd even discuss that. And to say that Syria is in a better place now, like as a New Yorker and as an American, I just find it so unbelievably offensive that we would say having the emir of Al-Qaeda running the country is somehow an improvement over a secular dictator.
Okay, so again, very interesting. And Piers, again, it's so obvious Piers is just trying to continue to praise Trump again, interview with him. It's so painfully obvious. I mean, it's almost been a year of him in office, and he still hasn't given him an interview. Like, Piers, just drop the act. It really is kind of a little sad. And I like you, Piers, but come on, man. And it's interesting how Piers starts talking about the dynamism in Riyadh, talking about how all these Middle Eastern countries, they're economic powerhouses. First of all, let's be very clear about these countries. They're still Muslim fundamentalist dictatorships, okay? They are dictatorships, and the idea that this is some like freedom, great area, let's be very clear here. Women in Saudi Arabia were not able to drive up until a couple years ago. Let's be very clear about that. And again, it's funny how Piers starts praising Trump. And the only reason why, by the way, why Trump is actually showing some sort of love to a lot of these Middle Eastern countries, some of them in particular, like Qatar, for example, Saudi Arabia, is because they bribe him and give him billions of dollars. Qatar literally gave him a several $100 million jumbo jet as a bribe, okay? Let's be very clear about that. And again, it's interesting up here is like, oh, neocons bombing the Middle East. Trump literally bombed Iran a month after that speech. And Piers didn't see the hypocrisy or the irony of that. I mean, give me a break, bro. Come on, man. And again, aversion to war. Again, he talks about aversion to war. Trump has ended 0 wars, 2 major wars, Russia, Ukraine, which he said he would end in one day. That's not ending anytime soon. In fact, it seems like it's amping up. We have Modi, Xi, and Putin all meeting together now as a show of force against the United States of America. And the idea that he's not getting enough credit. Give him credit for what, Piers? Give him credit for what? Give me a break. And again, he talks about, other Republican presidents are more, they're more willing to go to war. Again, Trump literally bombed Yemen for over a month. He bombed Iran. And that conflict, by the way, let's be very clear here. A lot of the conditions that started that war still remain. And if you listen to Netanyahu, it's very clear that, they might go back in. They asked Trump a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, it's up to Bibi if the war's going to start again. Up to Bibi? You're the president of the United States. What are we talking about? And he talks about Trump being against war, to waste of money. Well, guess what? He's still funding Israel and giving them all this money. What are you talking about? So again, he's praising Trump for things that he's not doing. It makes no sense whatsoever. Give him the peace pride. Give me a break. And by the way, these tariffs that he said, it hasn't killed the economy. Well, prices are going up, Piers. Let's be very clear. Number 2, people are expecting the economy to collapse again. And it's making a bunch of our former allies, like, the Indians, for example, they're going to go to China, which is exactly what's happening now. So his argument on that front makes absolutely no sense. Okay, guys. And again, he brings up Syria, and I don't necessarily agree with Dave Smith here. Listen, and I'm fair. I give Trump credit for maybe at least giving the new Syrian government a chance here. But let's not pretend this guy in Syria is some peacenik. This guy was formerly in Al-Qaeda. Number 2, hey, he's saying that Syria is in a better place now. They're being bombed by Israel. Israel literally bombed their Ministry of Defense a couple of weeks ago. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's just so absurd. And Dave Smith is absolutely right. How on earth are you going to give Trump a Nobel Peace Prize for him funding what Israel is doing in the Gaza Strip right now? It is beyond a disgrace. It's a disgrace. And if he gets the Peace Prize for that, I mean, then it really means nothing. Okay. And the only reason why Trump is not a fan of India right now, let's be totally honest, is because Modi wasn't having it. He's like, I'm not going to nominate this guy for a Nobel Peace Prize to stroke his ego when he did nothing to get peace between India and Pakistan. Okay. It's absolutely ridiculous. And again, let's be clear. Trump said he would end the war on day 1. He did not do that. In fact, we're several months in, and the war is escalating. Is Piers Morgan going to attack him for that and maybe say, oh, wow, he was really – no, of course not, because he wants to do an interview with him. It's just a joke, guys. You know how it is, So that's what I got for you guys today. Let me know what you think of this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. It's super good for the algorithm. And if you want to become a member, hit the join button below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you agree with me, disagree with me in the comments. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I'll see you later.